How great is this? We're joined by the original hockey insider, Bob McKenzie. Bob, not a lot of intrigue in the top four of your final draft rankings, but so much intrigue around Matvei Michkov. On Insider Trading Tuesday, Chris Johnston said that Michkov could go anywhere from 5 to 8. That 8th pick belongs to Washington. When you were polling scouts, was there any actual consensus?
Not really. Yeah, there is consensus. I mean, he's a top 5 pick. But because of the circumstances, because of the fact that he's Russian and the geopolitical situation, because of the fact that there have been all these unsubstantiated rumors that maybe he's a selfish player or whatever coming out of Russia, his contract status, he's not available until 2026 to the National Hockey League teams. There's been so much talk about this international man of mystery, and the fact that NHL general managers, executives, head scouts, they've not been able to go and watch live viewings of him. They didn't see him at the World Junior Championship because Russia wasn't allowed to participate. So there is an unfamiliarity factor that maybe is a little different than everybody else. So when you talk about consensus, it's hard to get a real strong agreement from everybody on how they feel about him. There are some guys that think he's every bit as talented as Connor Bedard. There are other people who say, well, you know what? He's got a great shot, but he's not the biggest guy, and he's not the strongest guy, he's not the fastest guy. We're not sure about him. So it will be fascinating. But here's the important thing, the news, if you will. He's going to be in Nashville. He's going to meet with all the teams that are picking at the top. So they are going to have an opportunity before the draft to become much more familiar with Matvei Michkov, the person. They can ask him, hey, what do you think about all these rumors about you? What about your contract status? Do you want to play in the NHL? Do you want to play for us? And his answers to those questions could dictate where he goes. And you're right. Most people believe he won't go past Washington at 8. But I think even Washington wants to talk to him before they make a commitment to take him.
I can't wait to see where he ends up. Now, Bob, let's talk about the highest-ranked defenseman, who's Austria's David Reinbacher. He plays in the Swiss Elite League. He was at 20 on your midseason list. He's at 8 in your final rankings, one of the highest risers at the top of your ranks. And it seems like he could go even higher in the actual draft on Wednesday. Why did Reinbacher jump so much over the course of the past 6 months?
Well, you're right, Jay. I mean, there's been talk maybe Montreal will be interested in him. There'll be talk that Arizona likes size and they could use a defenseman. Could they take him at number 6? But the reason that he went up so high is multiple reasons, actually. Number 1, he's a really good skater. Number 2, he's got some good size. He's up over 6'2". Number 3, he's a defenseman, and he's the number 1 ranked defenseman in this draft. And there aren't very many other defensemen available at all. Axel Sandin-Pellikk is the next defenseman we've got rated, and he's number 14. So, and he also played extremely well against the men in the Swiss League, and played well at the World Junior Championship. Started to play well at the Senior Men's World Championships for Austria until he got injured and wasn't able to finish the tournament. So there's all sorts of reasons. He's not a real great offensive defenseman. He's not a physically punishing, intimidating defensive shutdown defenseman. But he's a real good skater with the puck, and he can make plays, and he's real good at defending. So he's above average in both offense, way above average in terms of offense, defense, has a chance to be a top 2, top 3 defenseman on an NHL team. That's why teams are so excited about Reinbacher. And again, there's just not many defensemen available in this draft, and he's the best.
WHL star Zach Benson landing at number 9, 98 points in 60 games this season. But Bob, he's fallen a little from your midseason rankings from 5 to 9. Craig Button compared him to Johnny Gaudreau. So what caused Benson to fall?
Yeah, you know what? Those kind of falls they're what I would call marginal. That's just a case where some players have stepped up, one of them being Reinbacher, who was number 8 on our list. Just because he's a defenseman and because he's got size, he maybe pushed up ahead. Ryan Leonard is a guy who plays for the U.S. under-18 team, and he's like a power forward who's 5'11", 190 pounds, but he scored 50 goals for Team USA. He jumped up, and he's number 6 on our list. Dalibor Dvorsky's number 7. So it's not so much what Benson didn't do as what other guys did do. Now, having said that, when you're a smaller player like Benson, under whatever it is, 5'10", 5'11", there's still going to be some question marks there. But, I mean, this guy's engine revs really high. He's a very competitive guy. He doesn't ever let his lack of physical stature get in the way of getting him to the inside. He's sublimely skilled. And if he goes in I'd be surprised if he drops out of the top 10, but if he does, he won't drop out by very much. So I think he's still, and he could go a couple of spots higher. You just never know. So I think that number 9 thing is just a range, and I wouldn't read too much into the fact that he's dropped 3 or 4 spots over the course of the season.
Bob, it will be so interesting to see how this draft goes Wednesday in Nashville. As always, great to talk to you, Bob. Thanks for joining us on the show.
Thanks, Jay.